What's going on, Godzirra Nation? This is Arghgodzirra, and welcome to the first installment of Arghgodzirra'S AFL footy tipping competition for the 2019 season. We did this last year. There was a big amount of people that jumped on board. I cannot thank you guys enough for getting behind it. This year we are kicking it off. We are doing each and every round, and come the end of the season, there will be prizes handed out for some people that got on board and played throughout the season. So, how can you get on board with this initiative, you ask? Well, never fear, Arghgodzirra will step you through it. There's two things you need to make sure you do. The first thing is make sure you're a member of the Godzirra Nation. How can you do that? Well, you can pledge your allegiance by hitting the subscribe button down below. That's the first step. Just make sure you subscribe to the channel. The second step, ensure each and every week when I upload a tipped video of the tips that I am selecting for that respective round, you get your tips in the comment section down below. I will make note of everybody's tips throughout the season, and then once the final round is done and dusted before finals, I will work out where the standings are, and we will have some prizes to hand out for people that have competed. So those are the two steps to get on board with this year's footy tipping competition. I urge you to get on board. It's a fun way for us to interact with one another. Last year we had a lot of fun in doing this. Hopefully we can pick up some new people that want to get involved as well. And it's just a way for myself to be able to give back a little bit to you guys and do something a little bit different from the gaming side on the channel. But without further ado, this is a tipping video. Thursday night, round 1 kicks off the same way we've seen over the last couple of years. Carlton are hosting Richmond at the MCG. And for people that have already been on the channel following the AFL stuff that I do, you'll all know that I'm a big Richmond fan, and I'm tipping Richmond quite comfortably here. Last season Carlton gave Richmond a run for their money at the early start of the game, but I feel this season Richmond have something to prove. Losing that preliminary final against Collingwood after having an absolutely stellar season is going to have a fuel burning within them for a bit of redemption. This year is going to be Richmond's redemption, and they're going to kick the 2019 season off with a very sizable win. I'm going to say probably about 50 plus points if I was going to pick a point margin. We don't have to pick point margins here, we just pick the winners, but I think Richmond are going to do it quite comfortably on Thursday night. Friday night action still at the MCG. We have Collingwood hosting Geelong, and I am going to be tipping Collingwood to win this one. Similar boat that Richmond's in. Collingwood getting all the way to the grand final last year, being in control for so long and then letting it slip out of their hands. They will bounce back big time as well. There's a reason why most of the bookies have Collingwood as the second favourite for the premiership this year, and they're going to go on Friday night and prove that. And they've got a lot of players that they didn't have at this point of the season last season available for selection, and I think that only bolsters their team and makes them a bigger threat. So Collingwood for me on Friday night. Starting the action on Saturday, still at the MCG, we have Melbourne hosting Port Adelaide, and this is where Melbourne start their dominant run. If you haven't seen my predictions video that dropped earlier today, I will link it in the description down below. I have actually backed Melbourne to finish on top of the ladder and make it all the way to the grand final. Melbourne during the pre-season have shown that their young talent that are coming up have improved a lot. Their middle tier talent that have been thereabouts are now starting to step up to top elite level, especially players like Angus Brayshaw, Christian Petrarca. It's going to be good to see Jack Viney back in the mix as well. This year could be the year of the Demons, and they're going to kick it off quite comfortably against Port Adelaide. We head on over to Adelaide Oval, where Adelaide are hosting Hawthorn, and I'm going to back Adelaide quite comfortably at home here. This season I've got Adelaide as one of my biggest bolters. They're going to move up the ladder very considerably. They're going to have a better year than last year. All their guns that were injured are all back into that lineup. Makes them a stronger outfit. They are a genuine premiership threat, I believe, and they're going to prove how dominant they can be at home against a depleted Hawthorn, especially without Tom Mitchell in that midfield. the Adelaide midfielders are going to get their hands on the ball a hell of a lot, and they're going to have an absolute field day. So Adelaide for me, Saturday afternoon. We head on over to the newly named Marvel Stadium, where the Bulldogs are hosting Sydney. And even though the Bulldogs have the home field advantage, I'm backing Sydney to travel down and pick up a win. There's doubts over Franklin being named, there's doubts over Heaney being named, but I feel, even without Lance Franklin, that they get the job done over the Bulldogs. I just feel the Bulldogs are still missing the mark during the pre-season. They haven't looked that impressive, really. I mean, they even dropped a game to the Gold Coast. That's nothing to really brag about. Sydney seem to be one of those teams that a lot of people tend to sleep on. Let's not forget, they haven't missed a final series in a very long time. They've got a lot of young talent that are coming up that are playing at exceptional levels. Look at Alira in the back line, Heaney up forward, Jake Lloyd in defence, Ben Ronk coming into the team last year. Isn't he a talent? I think Sydney get it done quite comfortably against the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. To round out action on Saturday night, we have the Brisbane Lions playing host to West Coast at the Gabba. And the favourites for this game might be West Coast, the reigning premiers, but I'm tipping an upset, and I'm going to go with the Brisbane Lions to beat West Coast. During the pre-season, Brisbane have looked to be one of the most in-form teams throughout the series, and you can see players like Lachie Neale, Jared Lyons have come into the side and instantly have had impact. Archie Smith in the ruck has looked phenomenal, gives Steph Martin the chance to rest up forward. I really think this year Brisbane could be one of those teams that finishes around the 12 to 8 mark on the ladder, and I think they're going to kick their year off by knocking off the reigning premiers and shocking the AFL world with what could be a miracle season which sees the Brisbane Lions play finals in 2019. Sunday action kicks off back at Marvel Stadium. We have St Kilda playing host to the Gold Coast Suns. And there's a reason why the Gold Coast are paying over $4 to win this one. That is because St Kilda are going to get it done quite comfortably here. The Gold Coast are going to struggle all season. And St Kilda, fortunately, get to play them in the first round and get a win under their belt early. St Kilda are a momentum team. Get a little bit of momentum behind them and the train keeps rolling. They could kickstart a decent run if they get a good win over Gold Coast in round one. And that's exactly what I'm tipping right here. St Kilda for me on Sunday afternoon. We head on over to the showground, the Sydney showground that is, with the Giants hosting Essendon. And even though Essendon travelled there last year and knocked the Giants off, I feel this time around the Giants will get their redemption and beat Essendon. This year, GWS are in the same boat as Adelaide and Collingwood, getting back those elite talent that have been out of the side. They come back in, instantly look good. I'm very looking forward to seeing Zach Williams running back off that half-back line for the Giants. He is going to be absolutely damaging. Dylan Shield against his old team, round one, is going to be a game to watch. Giants versus Essendon could very much be the game of the round, I feel. But I think players like Stephen Coniglio, Josh Kelly, they'll still get the job done for GWS, and that allows now young players like Jacob Hopper, Tim Taranto, to step up into that role that Dylan Shield had and start showing their prowess around the ground. So the Giants for me, Sunday afternoon. And round one ends with Fremantle playing host to North Melbourne at Optus Stadium. And I am backing another upset here. I'm going for North Melbourne to beat Fremantle. And North Melbourne are one of those teams that don't tend to travel all that well. There's a couple in the competition that do fall under that category. West Coast being one, Richmond being another. But I feel North Melbourne, especially with the acquisitions they picked up during the pre-season, they're going to add a lot of depth to that lineup, and they're going to get it done quite comfortably here, especially with the Dockers announcing that Jesse Hogan won't be lining up for round one due to mental illness, which seems to be a trend going on in the AFL at the moment, which is a sad thing. As someone who suffers from it myself, I don't wish that upon anybody at all. So without Jesse Hogan up forward, and he was one of their star recruits on the off-season for the Dockers, and with a shattered system that they're trying now to mix around because Lockie Neal's left and they've brought in Rory Lobb and they're trying different things. I think North Melbourne might be able to exploit those gaps and get the job done against Fremantle. So to recap who I've selected for round 1, I have gone with Richmond, Collingwood, Melbourne, Adelaide, Sydney, Brisbane, St Kilda, GWS and North Melbourne. As I said at the start of the video, if you wish to compete, make sure you drop your tips in the comment section down below prior to the first round. Doesn't cost you anything to play. All it will cost is your time to drop a comment and watching the video. Make sure you're subscribed as well. As I said, I'm looking at handing out prizes to people who compete this year. Just a way for me to say thank you to you guys. I can't wait for the AFL season to start. The most dreariest part of the year is when the season finishes and having to wait all those months for a new season to kickstart. And I'm very happy that the AFL season is back, and I hope you guys are as well. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for joining me as always. If you did enjoy this video and are keen for the AFL to get underway, be sure to hit that like button. As I said, if you wish to compete, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Get on board the Godzirra Nation. There is plenty of other content to check out on the channel, and I urge you to do so. My social media links are down below. You can hit me up on all of those. Make sure you tick that notification bell as well so you get notified every single time something brand new hits the channel. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. Good luck to your teams this weekend, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.